here we are. There's an open door. All right. So we'll enter here. Oh, that's kind of neat. Little old electric heater. It's been sitting out here for a while. Sure, it must have been handy at one point in life, though. Awesome. Okay, see what's in here. This glass underfoot, so watch where you're stepping from. Okay, hi, I'm Tony Gallant from Brockton, Elmsdale, PEI, and I have a Facebook page called Abandoned PEI, where I document with pictures a lot of the buildings that are no longer in use, have been abandoned, are falling down, and I've been doing that since 2012. I went through my homestead that I grew up in, which had been abandoned for a few years at that point, and it just brought back a great deal of childhood memories, and it was really a good feeling. And I took some pictures about it and got some memories from it, and I noticed so many other places around this area that I thought maybe other people would like to see these, and it might strike some memories for folks who are following along on the page. So that's why I started it. Yeah, so like I was saying, built around the 1800s, 1880, and still good and sturdy. Those curtains make a great shot. First job after I left the farm, I joined the military. I decided it wasn't the life for me. So I went to upgrading, got my grade 12, and then I hired on with the Department of Forestry. I worked in the woods for a while. I worked at McCausland's Woolen Mill out in Bloomfield there. And then I've also done work with potato farmers, digging potatoes. Yeah, just that sort of thing. I hadn't had reason to deal with cameras before I worked with the newspaper, but they would call me and say, okay, go here, go there, get pictures of this and get some information. And I really enjoyed that for a while. And when I looked at some of the pictures that were going into the paper, there's just something about having that image that happened at that time, at that place, that's never going to happen again, just clicked with me. It was something I thought valuable. These are, like, to me, little time capsules, and they're dotted all across the island. And it's just I wanted to document them so that, because since the 12 years, 13 years I've been doing this, I actually went back around to some of the places I started with at first, and at least half of them are flattened. They're on the ground now.
How old do you think that is?
Pedal organ? I know my mother-in-law had one, and it was around 100 years old. The one she had, Woodstock memory, so. Buildings, barns. I know I've explored a couple of old fish plants. You take pictures and leave footprints. Nothing ever leaves the place you're at. It can't be in any way fenced or roped off. There can be no trespassing signs. There has to be an entry. You do have to know where you're putting your foot. You know, I grew up building things, taking things apart. I can consider myself a pretty good judge of structural integrity. And I've got a lot of comments from people that say, did it feel weird in there because I'm getting a weird vibe from it. I personally haven't run across a spiritual being yet in my visits. I've run across animals. You still got that first aid kit, right?
Right.
I don't think it's going to help. Oh, wow. The window. Okay. Most of these places, look, I couldn't even find again. I just get in a car and I drive. And when I catch a back road, that's where I go. And a lot of the times there's something that'll catch my interest. My original plan was to cover the island. It's been 12 years and I'm just starting to run out of places in the western end of the island. There are so many. And sometimes it looks like they went out to work one morning, put the dishes in the zinc, went out to work or whatever they were doing, and just never came back. Is what it almost that can go through your mind a lot of times going through these places. Yeah, and that's where I don't like to. I don't like to stick my opinion in too much of what could have happened. I like people to see that and let them figure out, kind of imagine what might cause something like that. Now there's somebody's teddy bear now. Look at that. Somebody cuddled that when they were kids in this tiny little room. Oh, it's quite, I think it's quite an image. Vandals, couldn't find nothing else to smash windows with, so I guess they went with the rake. Sometimes there's food in the fridge. No, not this one. Anyway, I think we should have a look upstairs. It was a pretty big old farmhouse. We grew up on a 100-acre farm. The youngest of my family, so I didn't have to share as much as the labor as my older siblings did. So my summers were spent jumping into the stream below the hill where we lived and coasting down the hill in the wintertime. And those were all good memories. When our house went down, our oldest son, Corey, and his wife, Destiny, took ownership of the lot and they built a new house on it. They've been in there 2 years now. So I can remember after they first moved in, they invited us up for breakfast, and yeah, it just seemed strange to be sitting in that spot with the same view, having breakfast, because I never thought that would happen again. But it's kind of come around that it's back. There's a house there, and it's still in the family, and it's still just, to me, it's just a beautiful location. It's on a hill. There's a stream running below it, below the hill, and yeah, it's just a nice spot.